Hi, I'm James Adam Tucker. For the past 35 years, I've been an actor, director, and editor right here in Los Angeles. Today I had a nice overcast day, and that's actually good for shooting. Thought I'd come outside and do a real quick video on my front porch. Someone sent me a question, and it really made me think back to some of my early days when I first started acting. Actually, it was a two-part question. The first part was, what was my worst audition that I ever attended? And I think it was one of the ones when I was in college. I had started acting in college, went to college for a different career, but then moved over to the television, film, and also got interested in theatrical departments. So my very first audition took place in New York City. It was in Manhattan. So I was in college in Maryland, in Baltimore. So I had to take the train all the way up to New York City, got there on time, went through Grand Central Station, went to the audition, and sat in the hallway with a lot of guys, young guys that looked like me. I probably was somewhere in my early 20s. What am I talking about? Late 20s, early 20s. And I'm sitting in there, I'm looking at the lines, I'm trying to go over them. It was for a pretty good sized role in a non-union independent film. And I really wanted to get it. And I was very new in the business. And what I didn't do was I didn't prepare well enough. And that's one of the reasons I'm telling you this story about one of my worst auditions, because I was completely unprepared. I went in, I thought I had the dialogue, especially the first half, committed to memory. So I received my first line and I drew a blank. I couldn't think for the world of me what that very first line was. So luckily, in those days, you could hold your audition sides in your hand. And you can still do that out here in Los Angeles. We get a lot of, everything is mostly on tape, self-tape nowadays. So you rarely get to go in person. But when you do, they still allow you to hold the sides in your hand if you need them, so you can peek down at them. And I was in that first audition in New York City, and I started to look at the sides, and I could not look up. It was horrible. I was looking down at the paper like this. Like if I'm talking to you right now, I'm looking down at the paper like this, and I'm reading my lines. The person who was reading with me and videotaping me didn't say anything. I think they were just an assistant. And so the whole time I'm looking down like this, not looking up from the lines at all. And you can see by me looking at you right now how terrible that is. They would deliver their line, and I wouldn't even look up when they delivered their line because I had completely drawn a blank. And the only thing I could think of was to read. So all I did in that audition was just prove to them that I could read off a piece of paper. And it was horrible. Obviously I didn't hear anything back from them. But I had taken that long trip from Baltimore up to New York City just to stand in front of this casting assistant and read while he videotaped me and prove that I could read. So that was one of the worst first auditions I had. The next thing that question that came in was what happened at an audition where I embarrassed myself. This was another one. This was years later. I was out here in Los Angeles, and this wasn't too many. This was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. Made a lot of mistakes. That audition was a series of mistakes for me, and I should have known better. I had nobody to blame but myself. The first mistake was the audition was about an hour and a half from my home. It was down near the beach, actually. I live in Pasadena, so it was down near a beach, but not the beach, close beach, a far beach. So I think it was near Long Beach. So I decided a bright idea, decided to leave early so that I could get there on time because I was going to ride my motorcycle. Big mistake, riding my motorcycle that long distance. Because any motorcycle riders out there that know if you're not a daily rider of a motorcycle, you get a little fatigued on long rides. And so my ride was about an hour and a half. Number two, I left extra early so that I knew if anything happened, if I got lost or anything like that, I would have plenty of time to, find out where I'm going. Because it was a pretty good audition. It was for a role on this show they were making at the time called Black Jesus. It was kind of like a parody of if a black guy had returned to Earth in present day and he was Jesus and he lived down in the ghetto neighborhood. So it was a show, but I wanted to roll because it was a pretty good sized role. So drove all the way down there on my motorcycle, got there extra early, and right across the street from, actually in the same parking lot, but down a little bit, was a really nice breakfast restaurant. This was a really early call. So I got there so early, I had about 45 minutes to kill. So I said, oh, let me go in here and get a little bit to eat. Mistake number 2. I went in there, ordered a big breakfast, blah, 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 eggs, bacon, toast, coffee, sat there leisurely like I had nothing to do today. I'm just living the life of leisure and drinking coffee and eating my breakfast slowly. And so all of a sudden it's time to go to the audition. I'm relaxed and calm. Get in the audition. Same thing like when I was young, like when I was in my 20s. I drew a complete blank. And I almost had these the day before, and I had plenty of time to work on the lines, which I always do. I take the time, I work on my lines. I have a little system where I break them down, and I use mnemonics to learn my lines and you know, that kind of thing. That's what I did when we did them all in person. And so I thought I was pretty much prepared. But those 2 big mistakes, tiring myself out riding on the motorcycle, and then sitting down before the audition and having a ridiculously big breakfast, I think I delivered the first line, and the young casting woman, and she's a pretty well-known casting woman, I'm not going to say her name, but she had called me in many times for many things, and I was never this embarrassed in my whole life. I've said the first line, I think. Third mistake. I was confident that I had the dialogue, and I didn't have the sides in my hand, because some of her casting people had put on the breakdown that they wanted you to come off book, which was really unheard of. It still is kind of unheard of for a first audition. They let you, out here in LA, I told you, they let you have your sides in your hand. But for some reason, they had highlighted, we want you to come off book. And I guess because it was kind of an independent show, it was union, and it was an independent show, a lot of people would come in and would be completely unprepared. And just like, unfortunately, like what I ended up doing. But I did the first line, and then drew a complete and utter blank. And it was so embarrassing because she had called me in for other things. She even remembered me when I walked into the audition, which is another great thing that you always hope that casting directors will do. And she had to yell. She had an assistant who was doing the taping. And I think they had an elaborate system set up where she didn't have to be in the room, but they were doing the taping and she could see the taping. And I don't know why that was, unless the room was just so big that she was far off and I couldn't see her. It's all a blur now. I don't even like thinking about it because it was one of my most recent and embarrassing auditions. And she had to yell. She didn't just say the line. She yelled the next line to me. And maybe I did one more line, and then she yelled the next one after that. And I think then I caught on to the last few lines that I had of dialogue. But it was so embarrassing. I couldn't even look at her. I just said thank you, and I walked right out of the room. So I'm telling you all this because as I do these stories and I give you this advice that I have, I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made. Prepare for every audition. There's this saying that goes, the more auditions you do, the closer you get to booking a job. And it is true. When you're new and when you're in the beginning of your career, you're going to do a lot of auditions. If you're lucky enough to make it to that stage in an acting career where you're offer only, which is a term that they use when actors don't have to audition anymore, they just, if the casting person wants to push them up, or the producers already know who they are, it's just offer only. They make an offer and offer you the part. And then your agents start negotiating. But as long as you're auditioning, be prepared. Make sure you come prepared. Do the work you need to do on your own, whatever your technique is, method, whatever your acting technique is, whatever your audition technique is, come prepared. Try to get off book as much as possible. I always say that if it's a lot of dialogue, you want to start strong and you want to finish strong. So if you are allowed to have the sides in your hand, you want to be able to start really well off book so you can grab their attention. And then if you need to peek down at your lines, you peek down, you look up. And then when you get near the end, you want to be able to deliver strong dialogue to your reader where you're not relying on the book. So Yeah, that's my advice and answer to those questions. Yeah, if I've had embarrassing moments auditioning, and I still do. But the great thing about self-tape, which I was very resistant to, I was in Atlanta about 2 years ago. I lived in Atlanta for 2 years. I was trying my hand at their acting out there, and I did book some work. But they were Atlanta and Georgia. They're all self-tape. In Georgia, all the casting is self-tape. Now they might call you in if this is a big role and you're a lead in their feature film. I doubt if they're not going to meet you in person before they book you. So that's it. Make sure that you are prepared as much as possible. Take it seriously. Each audition, even if it's a part, and I get a lot of these, which is frustrating. I'm about to go work on one today, a part that I'm right for the part, but the production company wants to bring in every different ethnic race. They even have this new term. I don't even know what it's called. I just noticed it on the breakdown yesterday when I got the information from my agent. BTD something. But it stands for all different races, I guess, except for Caucasian. So they're casting a role, and it's a lead role in a series, one of the co-lead roles in a series, and they don't know what they want. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. I'm not at the level in my career where I can just turn stuff down, especially when it comes through my agent. But boy, do I wish I could just turn stuff down like that, because I feel that if they can't make a decision on who they want, just a blanket decision, they know the age range, so I fit in that age range, and I fit the type of person that this role is for, the type of character, but they just want to keep it wide open, and they want to see every ethnic race that they can, which is really frustrating. But I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to do this audition like they want to see me, even that I know they don't. They just want to see everybody. But that's how you need to attack this business, with the serious commitment that the audition is really the main job. Because if you book the job, then you're going to get on the set, and the director is going to give you some guidance on how they want it, how they see the role, and you guys can collaborate, and that's when the fun begins. But the audition is the real work, and there are a lot of great books out there on audition techniques. There's one you can look up called The Best of You. That's the best one that I've found over the years. You can find it on Amazon, probably used for a really low cost. The Best of You. I forget the writer's name right now, but if you do a Google search for that, it'll come right up top. Acting book, The Best of You, audition techniques. Solid book, solid information. So yeah, those were my 3 stories of the worst auditions and being unprepared that I had over my career so far. So feel free to contact me. Oh, again, I was supposed to say this at the beginning. Please subscribe to my channel. Please share my channel with people you may know who may be interested in this type of content. I enjoy talking about this business, and I want to share what I know with you guys. I'm not making flashy videos, as you can see. I don't have any B-roll or flash cuts or any of that kind of stuff. It's just me talking as if I'm talking to you, and that's why I started this channel. So feel free to share it. Please subscribe and send me some more questions. I love when I get questions, when I know that people are watching and people are taking the time to write me a question and ask something about the entertainment business, either acting, filmmaking, or editing. I love to talk about this business. So I'll see you in the next one.